Hey, Bob Coakley, your humble sales coach here. It's been a great ride for the last 3 weeks. I'm really impressed with the group and how receptive you all are, whether you're relatively new to the business or experienced. You're all thinking about ways and how you can get a little bit better. After all, that's what it's about. If you're a pro, you always want to get a little bit better. We've been talking about the engagement process, and this is something that's relevant for a new client as well as an existing client. But when we're specifically looking at existing clients and how can we capture more of those quotes that we do, we want to look at that first couple of minutes of our interaction and how can we differentiate ourselves? How can we demonstrate in a course of about 2 minutes that, wow, we're a professional, that regardless of what happens, I want to deal with this person. They are a true pro. So we started out in building rapport talking about the conversation stack, or I'll refer to that as creating a connection with the prospect as quickly as possible. Try to find something in common. We talked about must react questions, maybe a little bit of research, or if we know something we have in common, asking a question about that. That's going to help improve our receptivity, their receptivity, I should say, to our message and what we do. And then the next thing is to demonstrate some professionalism using the agenda statement. And we talked about the acronym POINT last week and how we can clearly set what we're going to talk about, again, lowering their anxiety and preempting maybe why we're asking some questions, because we do have to ask about things related to their financial affairs, and that can get sensitive and they'll be like, why are you doing that? The agenda statement can help them understand why and that we're doing it for their benefit. Now, the last thing is the credibility statement. This is where we can deliberately build our credibility. So when we begin starting asking questions, they're ready to answer, and they answer fully and maybe share information that they normally wouldn't share. So let's talk about the credibility statement and how we can share and build our credibility in 3 easy steps. Before we jump into that structure, take a moment and answer in the questionnaire that is along with this video these 2 questions. Just give it a thought. Why would you want to build your credibility and the agency's credibility prior to asking a bunch of questions? Asking questions about their family, their finances, their home, and specifics like that if they have something on their driving record. So think about that. Why would we want to build our credibility? And what could prospects be thinking about us this early in on the conversation in the quote process? This is less relevant, I would say, if you get a very warm referral, someone who just says, you got to call up and use this person. But what in general do prospects think about when they sit down with a salesperson? What are they thinking, right? And in this case, right, we're insurance. They're thinking insurance sales. So think about that. Answer those questions, and we'll talk about this on our call. But I think it will become apparent that it makes a lot of sense to take about 30 seconds prior to jumping into questions by building our credibility. Again, that's going to continue to build on them being receptive to our questions and to whatever we offer, and lower their resistance, their guard, if you will. So let's talk about those 3 steps. So we're going to transition from the agenda statement, and what we'll transition might be a phrase like this. So, hey, let me share with you a little bit about my background, a little bit about IPA, so you know who you're dealing with. And then you'll share these 3 points. Why would they want to select IPA as their insurance agency? And these are where you build credibility for the agency. Next is, why would they want to do business with you specifically as their agent? And the last thing is a testimonial. You might consider sharing a short example of somebody similar to them that you've insured in the past and what you did. When they came to you, what was their situation? What did you do? And what was the benefit to them, so they can see how it relates. And again, you can share 1 bullet per each, or depending on the style of the prospect you're dealing with, you might expand on it or contract depending on that situation, or share one or two of these. You don't have to share all three. But if we can just take a few seconds and hit on something that's going to build our credibility again as we transition into discovery, that is going to open them up so they're less guarded about all the questions we ask. And that's going to help them get the best possible deal with all the discounts. Make sense? Okay, let me give you an example of how one might sound. So, and I've put a couple of notes here on the screen, and many of you have shared these things in the past. So I've just collected information that you've shared with me, but I'll just do this quickly so you can kind of try it on for size. And when we get together on our session, I'd love for you to share some examples of what you do or what you could do or what you plan on doing to build your credibility before you start asking questions and completing, the rater and all that information you need there. So here's how it might sound. Kent, hey, thanks again for taking some time out. And I just love to give you a quick overview of myself and our agency so you know who you're dealing with. First of all, I joined IPA as an independent insurance agent because they're the best out there. I have other options, but I chose them because they help me help my clients like you. We, as an independent insurance agency, have over 20 carriers to select from. All these carriers are highly rated insurance carriers by the organization AM Best. We typically select A+ or A or better because we know they're a credible company. Now, why customers say they like working with me is because I help them make an educated decision about their insurance. When people choose insurance, the first thing they think is price, and that's important, and I believe it's important. What I help you do is kind of balance that price protection because you basically get what you pay for. So I'll walk through some of these things that, everyday people might be a little bit confusing, and I'll help you. Together, we'll make an educated decision about what's right for you and your family based on the budget you have. Now, the other thing that clients like about me is I'm local. You can always catch me by phone, but I'm also right here in Arizona, and I'm a live person. I'm not some call center agent back in Idaho or India or Indiana. You're going to get a person who's here from Arizona. Now, I was thinking about you, and I worked with a new client just last week who also lives in the Scottsdale area, and they had another carrier, and they were referred over to me. And when we went through their current policies and some of their coverages, they realized they were grossly underinsured. Their minimums on their car insurance were actually state minimum, and we realized that they were going to put their home in risk if they had done that. They thought they were saving some money. After we shopped all our insurance companies, we landed on one called CSE Insurance, and it's a great carrier. And what it did for them, not only did we match the price that they currently had, we were able to more than double their coverage. So they were really excited about making that switch because they didn't realize some of the exposure they had, especially because they do have a teenage son that's driving some of their vehicles as well. So today, what I hope to do is get to know you a little bit better so I can understand your situation and we can get you the best possible protection at the lowest possible price. So now that you know a little bit about me, let's jump in and talk a little bit more about you and what's got you looking at your insurance today. Okay, I went a little long. I get it. You're probably saying, oh, all right, come on, stop it. I partially went long because I wanted to put several examples or bites on the bone, on the bone there, put some meat on the bone, if you will. You select what's right for the client or prospect you're working with. What is enough credibility, but be careful. You don't try to build too much because they're going to tune out. Maybe like you did there. But if you've made it conversational and you've created connection to build likability, again, they're receptive to what you're going to say. You show you're professional in that you're doing this with a purpose, with your agenda statement. And now take a moment and build credibility. And you can expand this message or contract it depending on the buying style of the prospect you have in front of you. As you can see here, you could do 1 or 2 bullet points. Hey, it might sound like this. Here's a super quick one. Kent, hey, thanks again for taking some time out to talk about your insurance with me today. A couple of key points why people like to work with me is, number one, here at IPA, I have access to over 20 carriers. Now, that allows me to do the shopping for you. You're not going to have to go out and shop multiple carriers. I'm going to do that. In addition to that, I've got over 25 years of writing business here in Arizona, and I've worked with a lot of people right in your neck of the woods. So why don't we jump into it? I'm curious, what's got you looking at your insurance today? So that's another version. What I'd love to do on our next call is get your version. How can you build, or how do you build credibility? What's maybe the 1 or 2 points that you use and could be even more deliberate about before you jump into what we call discovery, but that's gathering all the information you need so you can put together the options and the different quotes for them. So that's the credibility statement. That is what we're going to cover on our call coming up. Please take some time, answer those questions, and we'll talk about this, and would love to hear your examples on our call this coming week. Talk to you then. Take care.